The internet is not my biggest. It never has been, but especially isn't these days. Make stupid choices.
I think that's really important that you see me as a human being, because I think a lot of people don't. So, I don't know. I want that disclaimer out there.
All of Hollywood's like, yep, let's make her a thing, let's make her a thing. But she's never made a movie that's been successful.
But it's also really important to me that I share with you not only the really good, exciting moments, but also like the little blips where I just don't feel.
Rachel Zegler's name might still be floating around Hollywood's inner circles, but over in London, the reality is hitting like a cold front. Her big comeback, her stage reinvention, her Golden Globe-worthy theater moment is already circling the drain. And we haven't even reached opening night.
Her career is not going from strength to strength, is it? So this is her new thing, Avita.
That's right. Zegler's highly publicized turn as Eva Peron in the upcoming production of Avita at the London Palladium is turning out to be less of a triumphant stage debut and more of a humiliating wake-up call. One that's written in glowing green across every single seating chart, because if you check the official ticketing website, any date, any seat, any section, you're greeted with the same glaring reality: nothing is sold out.
Well, it just goes to show they shouldn't have hired her. This is not a person that, well, she's not a person that has any element of draw in whatever she's in.
Not one section, not one date. It's a sea of green, a complete and total wipeout. And at a venue that holds over 2,200 people, that's not just bad, it's downright embarrassing. This isn't some scrappy little indie theater off the West End. We're talking about the London Palladium, the kind of venue where legends perform, where tickets usually vanish weeks, sometimes months in advance. And yet, with just weeks to go before the curtain rises, Rachel Zegler can't fill a single row, let alone a house.
Rachel Zegler is a no-name actress. She's barely been in anything, actually. If you look at her IMDb, West Side Story was the first one that it was the first movie she was in, basically.
No last-minute rush, no fan frenzy, just empty seats and brutal optics. And the worst part? The marketing team pulled every trick in the book, plastering her face next to buzzwords like Golden Globe winner Disney's Snow White: The Hunger Games, but none of it is working. The audience isn't biting. Not in London, not for Zegler. So while the industry keeps insisting she's a rising star, the box office, and now the box office again, this time in theater, keeps screaming otherwise.
It sounds like you're one of the only ones there, just like Rachel Zegler, as it turns out, and we part with this video of Rachel Zegler alone in a theater watching herself. One of the most unlikable humans.
That is sadder than when the original Snow White eats the...
If this is supposed to be the next big phase of her career, someone might want to double-check the script, because the early reviews, at least from ticket buyers, are already in. And the verdict? Brutal silence. Now, some defenders will claim theater is a different beast, that maybe Zegler just needs time to adjust to the stage. But let's not kid ourselves. Theater, especially in London, is a meritocracy. If audiences believe you're worth the price of admission, they show up. They don't care about Hollywood hype or PR spin. They care about performance, presence, and authenticity. And what Rachel Zegler's empty seating chart screams isn't just lack of interest, it's rejection. A polite but deafening no thank you from an audience she clearly thought would be more forgiving than the internet. But unlike social media, where you can hide behind filters and handlers, the theater doesn't lie. And when every single performance of Avita remains wide open, with not even the cheap seats filling up, it sends a crystal clear message. Zegler is not the draw she or her team believes she is.
What can be said about this level of narcissism? Here, please, enjoy.
Compare that to someone like John Lithco, running a separate show in London at the same time. Not a Marvel star, not trending on TikTok. Yet, if you look at his ticket chart, it's limited seats and real demand. That's what actual star power looks like. Zegler, on the other hand, is headlining a role as iconic and emotionally demanding as Eva Peron, and she can't even generate enough buzz to sell out a Tuesday night. That's not just bad business. It's a PR disaster waiting to explode. And it begs the question, what happens when Hollywood's chosen golden girl can't even get theatergoers? arguably the most loyal, passionate entertainment consumers on the planet, to care. It's becoming painfully clear that Rachel Zegler's entire career has been propped up by a fantasy, one cooked up in studio boardrooms and echo chambers. But in the cold, ticket-clicking reality of London theater, that fantasy is unraveling fast. Because no matter how many magazine covers they put her on, or how many times they slap Golden Globe winner in bold letters, there's one thing you just can't fake: a sold-out crowd.
And to everyone who hates when I win, the winged victory came to the Louvre in peace. And people still line up.
Oh my gosh.
And I can only hope
What's that mean?
that despite my flaws, and despite my cracks and my breaks, and there are many of them, that at every premiere, everything I do, people will wait in line.
What makes this situation even more awkward is the sheer scale of Aviva itself. This isn't some experimental fringe performance at a cozy black box theater. We're talking about the London Palladium, one of the most prestigious and massive venues in the West End, with over 2,200 seats. It's the kind of stage you earn, not the kind handed to you after 2 questionable blockbusters and a PR team working overtime. Yet somehow, Zegler got top billing, and despite all the flashing lights and glittery promos, it looks like no one is biting. The traffic light system meant to guide customers is stuck on green across the board, every night, every row. That's not a slow trickle, it's a drought. And here's where the reality check hits hard. You'd expect at least some curiosity. Theater fans, musical lovers, even casual moviegoers who vaguely remember her from the Hunger Games might feel inclined to give her a shot. But the total lack of ticket movement shows just how little organic interest there is in Rachel Zegler as a performer. It's not hate, it's indifference. And in showbiz, indifference is death.
It sounds like you're one of the only ones there, just like Rachel Zegler, as it turns out, and we part with this video of Rachel Zegler alone in a theater watching herself. One of the most unlikable humans.
That is
ever.
sadder than when the original Snow White eats the apple.
Public backlash can be survived, scandals can be spun, but when audiences simply don't care, that's when the machinery starts to rust. Even worse, this isn't Rachel Zegler's first stumble. West Side Story, despite Spielberg's name, underperformed at the box office. Snow White, a full-blown disaster. And now, with Avita limping out of the gate, it's clear this isn't a fluke. It's a pattern that suggests Rachel Zegler's career isn't rising, it's quietly collapsing under the weight of unearned hype. Hollywood wanted her to be the next big thing. But theater, unlike film, doesn't run on wishful thinking and access journalism. It runs on ticket sales, and if the seats stay empty when the curtain rises, no amount of Hollywood spin will change the brutal truth echoing through that cavernous, silent auditorium. Rachel Zegler may have made it to the stage, but the spotlight might be exposing more than she's ready to face. Now let's rewind for a second and talk dollars, because while critics and fans can debate artistic merit all day long, money doesn't lie. And Snow White has been nothing short of a financial catastrophe. Disney has tried to spin it as a modest success, even trotting out headlines claiming it crossed $200 million worldwide. But scratch the surface, and it's not even close to good news. That $200 million, if we're being incredibly generous, is gross, not net. After theaters take their cut, usually around 40% or more, Disney's left with maybe $100 million. Not bad for a small indie film. Disastrous for a tentpole remake with a bloated budget and years of marketing behind it. And let's talk about that budget. Initial reports pegged it at $260 million, but insiders suggest the number ballooned after reshoots and costly delays. Some estimates now place the total spend, including global marketing, well over $350 million. That would mean Disney is staring down a $250 million loss on one film. In any other era, this kind of failure would have triggered mass firings.
They're just like
Executives would be packing up their offices, the star probably pivoting to off-Broadway or taking a break from social media. But Rachel Zegler? She's being handed Avita front and center at one of London's most iconic theaters. The dissonance is staggering. And what's worse is how avoidable this all was. After West Side Story bombed, albeit during a pandemic. Most studios would have hit pause, let her prove herself in smaller projects or earn back some goodwill. Instead, Disney doubled down, casting her in one of the most beloved fairy tales of all time. Then they handed her a press tour mic, seemingly unprepared for what came next. Zegler's dismissive remarks about the original Snow White, calling the prince a stalker and openly mocking the 1937 film's values, lit a firestorm across the internet. It was tone-deaf, arrogant, and it alienated the very audience Disney was counting on. The worst part? Those weren't off-the-cuff slip-ups. She repeated them again and again, doubling down in interviews like she was daring the backlash to come. And now here we are, empty theaters in London, a gutted box office, and a studio scrambling to make it look like things are fine. But they're not. Hollywood's experiment with Zegler isn't just failing, it's actively bleeding money. Now let's talk about Avita, because if Disney was hoping Rachel Zegler's theater pivot would offer a soft reset after the Snow White disaster, that plan is already falling apart, and in the most embarrassingly public way possible. She's set to star as Eva Peron in a high-profile stage revival at London's legendary Palladium, a massive, prestigious venue that's hosted everyone from Madonna to Andrew Lloyd Webber. This isn't some small fringe play in an East End basement. This is a big deal, and Zegler is the face of it. But here's the problem. No one's showing up. Ticket sales for Avita are an absolute ghost town. Every date in June? Wide open. July? The same. August and September? Not even close to selling out. The box office uses a traffic light system to show availability. Green means open seats. And right now, it's a sea of green.
All of it, literally every single thing is available. Literally all of it. All of it, no different. All of it.
Row after row, show after show, you'd think this was a student production buried in a back alley, not a star-studded revival being hyped with Golden Globe winner Rachel Zegler in all the ads. It's not just bad, it's humiliating. Even more humiliating, Zegler isn't the only big name in London theater right now. While other productions, like those featuring John Lithco, are filling seats and seeing limited availability, Avita is being ignored like it's cursed. And if that's not a direct referendum on Rachel's drawing power, what is? Theaters rely on name recognition. Audiences will fork out hundreds for a ticket if they believe the performance is worth it. And right now, the public is loudly, collectively saying, no thanks. Let's address the obvious. This isn't about whether she can sing or whether she's a technically good performer. It's about public perception. It's about connection. Right now, Rachel Zegler has no goodwill to trade on. Her name doesn't spark curiosity, it sparks eye rolls. Fans haven't forgotten her Snow White meltdown, her habit of shading fans and classics alike, or her seeming inability to read the room when it comes to PR. Theater audiences are sharp. They talk, and unlike moviegoers who might stumble into a film on impulse, stage buyers make calculated decisions weeks, even months in advance. If they're not buying now, they're probably not buying later either. So while her team may spin it as early in the run, or we haven't launched full marketing yet, the reality is clear: Avita is in trouble. Big trouble. And it's dragging Rachel Zegler's already fragile public image deeper into the abyss. What was supposed to be her theatrical redemption arc is turning into another high-profile flame-out. And she hasn't even stepped on stage yet. At some point, even Hollywood's most stubborn power players have to face the numbers. And the numbers surrounding Rachel Zegler's career right now, they're brutal. Let's break this down. West Side Story was supposed to be her breakout. Directed by Steven Spielberg, Oscar buzz, every advantage a newcomer could dream of. And yet, the movie underperformed badly. It couldn't even crack $80 million worldwide against a reported $100 million budget. A box office whiff during the holiday season, no less, at the height of Spielberg's hype machine. And still, the industry pressed forward. She's a star, they insisted, just needs the right vehicle. So they gave her Snow White, a billion-dollar Disney property, a legacy character with nearly a century of fan nostalgia. She was handed the crown, literally. And what did she do with it? She publicly trashed the source material, mocked the prince, called the original creepy. Basically, she did a months-long interview tour convincing fans why not to watch the film. And the result? a $200 million worldwide haul on a $300 million investment.
I'm like so ready to just throw my phone away. I don't know when it's gonna happen, but I know it's gonna happen. And everyone's gonna get mad at me, and I'm gonna or they'll be thrilled and be like,
Disney is facing catastrophic losses, and Rachel Zegler's career is circling the drain. Her Snow White flop wasn't just a box office miss, it was a warning shot. Now, Avita is struggling through pre-sales like a production with no star power at all. The message is clear. Zegler isn't a draw, she's a liability. While Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes turned a profit, it wasn't because of her. It was the Hunger Games brand, not Zegler's name, that got people in theaters. Hollywood's shifting from gut instinct to data-driven decisions, and Zegler's return on investment is in the red. Studios are already whispering and casting directors are cautious, not wanting to gamble on another $100 million budget. The idea that she can pivot to stage, Avita's empty seats just destroyed that fantasy. Despite her PR team pushing narratives of empowerment, the numbers tell a different story. Silent theaters and stalled productions. What's worse, Zegler is facing an industry-wide blackout. No one's stepping up to defend her. No tweets, no interviews, just complete silence. When even those who once championed her are nowhere to be found, it's clear. Hollywood is retreating and Zegler's career is in trade mode. The headlines that once hailed her as the next big thing now quietly add polarizing or controversial. Even her Avita team seems to be distancing themselves, with no behind-the-scenes content or support. It's almost as if they're waiting to see if the show will quietly get canceled.
I don't want people to see me in a weakened state.
Rachel Zegler's career is rapidly spiraling, and the industry is starting to distance itself. After Snow White's disastrous box office performance and her controversial press tour, her pivot to Avita isn't going any better. Ticket sales are dismal, and even her management seems exhausted by the fallout. Zegler's public image is deteriorating, and instead of owning up to her mistakes, she's playing the misunderstood victim, pushing vague messages about finding peace, while her career collapses. The real issue now isn't just bad PR, it's that Zegler is becoming uncastable. When your name triggers immediate backlash before a project even begins, it's a red flag for studios. Avita's empty seats are a clear sign. The public's lost interest. The silence from her team and colleagues is deafening. No one's rushing to defend her. Even A-listers who once supported her are now quietly backing away. Zegler's refusal to acknowledge her mistakes is turning her into a liability, and unless she changes course, her career will fade into irrelevance. Hollywood's not waiting for redemption arcs anymore, it just recasts.